You're ready, you can start.
Stress comes in many different forms. You have good stress, such as weddings, graduations, and birthdays. And then there's the bad stress, such as divorce, job pressures, and unfortunately, birthdays again. Life is just full of stress. Either way, good or bad, stress can build up anxiety, which can cause serious health issues, and it can also mess up your focus, which is not good at work or at school. I was just stressing over this presentation that I was trying to set up because I couldn't get my slides to work. So I'm gonna try to stay focused and not let that get to me. Shut it off. Going on, one way to help you reduce stress is by identifying your priorities. Identify your priorities, managing your time between self-values, needs, and wants. So your priorities can be your family, your faith, your education, volunteering. These are just lists, but these are not necessarily your priorities, but they're just priorities. But if you identify your priorities and you put those priorities in place in your life, then you can reduce your stress. Now, let's talk about how stress is an everyday thing. Let's look at the family. With family obligations, you have bills that need to be paid. If you have children, you have school, you have shopping that needs to be done. And if you plan on taking a vacation, that requires planning. So there's so much stress involved in family obligations. And if school happens to be one of your top priorities, school doesn't just stop after high school graduation. So let's look at education. Now we're dealing with challenging assignments, more upfront presentations. How many of y'all like getting up in front, talking to an audience, sometimes complete strangers? It's nerve-wracking, it's stressful. Education costs, tuition costs, and you're trying to complete your degree. All of this is so much pressure, and it can be very stressful in life. And for those who are working, even the career is stressful. You have people who feel like they're overworked and underpaid. Sometimes you have mandatory overtime. And sometimes you find yourself stuck in this job that you cannot stand. But because of the benefits, I have medical, I have tuition assistance, and I have family obligations, you find yourself stuck in that job that you do not like. And that could be very stressful. So, if you identify your priorities, excuse me, if you identify your priorities by making that list of what is very important to you, you identify your priorities and you spend time on what's important. See, the thing is, sometimes we get confused with our needs and our wants. And we're having problems with our slide. So sometimes we get confused with our needs and our wants. And we have to realize what's important, because sometimes we think we may want a big house or a brand new car, or we need the next big thing as far as technology, as far as your iPhones or your iPads or your iPad Air. Oh yeah, that one's calling my name. Sometimes we see those things and we get caught up and we want to try to keep up with everybody, but in reality, we have to consider what we actually need. So even though we may want a bigger house or a brand new car or the celebrity fashion or the iPhone or the next big thing, in reality, what we need is shelter, reliable transportation, clothes on our back, and basically we need to be able to be reached in case of emergency. So let's talk about cell phone plans. This is a chart that compares the 5 major cell phone plans. And with a basic 2 lines, you're spending anywhere from $100 to $150 depending on the carrier as well as the type of phone you receive. Your basic phones could be anywhere from $25 or $10 now, since you have your iPhones or whatnot. These basic lines can run you anywhere from $100 to $150, again, depending on your carrier. But if you decide that you want to go with your smartphone or your iPhones, and again, if you don't have insurance, you'll be paying for a new phone. These can spend anywhere from $200 to $400 plus dollars, and that's depending on how many lines or devices you need. So it all depends, it all boils down to what all you need, because if you're not into that techno and you just need to be reached out and touched, hello, okay, I'll be there in 5 minutes. A basic phone will do. But if you are more creative and you're always on the go, the smartphones or the iPhones is what most folks are paying for now. And you're actually paying for the phone and not the actual coverage, because you're paying for the data. You're paying for a phone that's going to be upgraded within a month. So unless you plan on jumping or edging or whatever they're trying to do to get you to not feel like you're stuck to your 2-year contract, you're actually stuck. So another thing you can do, instead of getting caught up in these contract phones, there's a thing called Google Voice. As long as you have a Wi-Fi connection, you can get unlimited talk and text. And if you're over the Wi-Fi, you can use the Wi-Fi as your data. So you should just think about savings opportunities and what you need and what you want. Because sometimes having that next big thing is actually pricey and it's not what you need. Thank you.